You made it through menopause. You survived the hot flashes, the sleepless nights, the mood swings that nobody around you could quite understand, the clothes that stopped fitting, the body that felt like it no longer belonged to you. And now everything should be fine. But it's not. The weight keeps building up around your belly. Sleep is still a battle every single night. The anxiety never left. Your energy never came back. And you look in the mirror and think, what is still happening to me? I need to tell you something today. Something that most doctors don't explain during appointments. Something that health books rarely go into detail about. Something that thousands of women are living through right now, in silence, without understanding why. Menopause may be over. But what comes after it is the chapter nobody told you about. And that chapter may already be written in your body right now, without you even realizing it. Stay with me until the end of this video. Because what you're about to discover here could completely change the way you take care of yourself from this point forward. Underscore 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 underscore. Let's start from the beginning, clearly and without overcomplicating things. Estrogen is not simply the female reproductive hormone. That's an incomplete view, and it leads many people to underestimate what happens when it drops. Estrogen is one of the most powerful regulators in the entire female body. It acts on metabolism. It acts on the brain. It acts on bones and joints. It acts on the heart and blood vessels. It acts on skin, sleep, mood, memory, libido, and, fundamentally, on the way your body stores or burns fat. Throughout your entire reproductive life, estrogen worked behind the scenes, protecting organs, regulating processes, balancing entire systems in your body. When menopause arrived, it began to drop. And your body entered adaptation mode. That's why the hot flashes came. The irritability. The insomnia. The sudden weight gain. Your body was reacting to a profound hormonal transformation, signaling that something major was changing. But here is the information that changes everything, and that most women have never been clearly told. When menopause ends, estrogen does not come back. It doesn't stabilize at a healthy middle level. It stays low. Permanently. And it is precisely this state of continuous low estrogen that defines the phase called postmenopause, a phase that can last 20, 30 years or more in a woman's life. A phase that requires a completely different way of taking care of your body. Underscore 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 underscore. And here is the real problem. Most women reach the end of menopause expecting relief. Expecting their body to go back to normal. And when symptoms continue, or when new, more subtle symptoms appear, the most natural conclusion seems to be, it's my age. That's just how it is. There's nothing left to do. But that is wrong. You may have been in postmenopause for 2, 5, 10 years. And during that time, you kept doing what always worked, eating less, walking every day, taking that medication, following that diet that worked once. And nothing works the same way it used to. The weight won't budge. The belly insists on staying. Sleep is interrupted. Energy doesn't return to what it was. Your head feels foggy. And the feeling is that you're doing everything right, but your body simply doesn't respond anymore. This is not weakness. It is not lack of willpower. It is not laziness. It is physiology. Your body is operating under a new hormonal logic. And if you don't know about this logic, you'll keep trying to solve a new problem with old solutions, and getting nowhere. This is happening to thousands of women right now. And the vast majority have no name for what they're feeling. Underscore 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 underscore. Before we go on, I need to ask you one quick thing. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, click the subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell. Every week we bring serious women's health content, science-based, explained in a way that makes sense in real life, not just theory. Information that can make a real difference in your everyday life. Done. Now let's keep going. Because what comes next is where everything becomes much clearer. Underscore 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 underscore. There are habits that seem completely harmless, that even seem healthy. But in postmenopause, they are working directly against your body. And most women make these mistakes every single day without realizing it. I'm going to show them to you, one by one. Underscore 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 underscore. Habit number 1 that is destroying your metabolism in postmenopause. Eating too little thinking it will help you lose weight. This is probably the most common and most damaging mistake in this phase. We've always been taught that to lose weight, you need to eat less. Cut calories. Restrict. And for years, that actually worked for many women. In postmenopause, that logic completely breaks down. When estrogen drops to permanently low levels, the basal metabolism slows. Your body burns less energy at rest. Up to this point, it's pure biology. The serious problem begins when you eat very little. Your body interprets that severe caloric restriction as a threat of scarcity. And the automatic physiological response is, store fat. Especially in the abdominal region, which is the area the body protects first under caloric stress. On top of that, eating too little without enough protein accelerates the loss of muscle mass. And muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in the body. Less muscle means an even slower metabolism, which leads to eating even less, which leads to losing even more muscle. It's a silent vicious cycle. Most women in postmenopause are eating less than they have at any other point in their lives, and gaining more weight than they ever have, and blaming themselves for it. The warning is direct: eating too little is not the solution. It's part of the problem. And it may be happening to you right now. Underscore 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 underscore. Habit number 2 that is destroying your sleep and your hormonal balance. Sleeping poorly and accepting it as part of getting older. This mistake happens in silence. Every night. Most women in postmenopause wake up in the middle of the night, take a long time to fall back asleep, or simply can't reach deep, restorative sleep. And they accept this as inevitable, as if it's the price of aging. It is not inevitable. And it is not because of age. What's happening has a direct, identifiable cause. The permanent drop in estrogen affects sleep regulation in multiple ways. The hormone is tied to melatonin production. It's tied to the regulation of nighttime body temperature. It's tied to the architecture of deep sleep. Without adequate estrogen levels, all of these functions become compromised. But the problem doesn't stop at the next morning's tiredness. Fragmented sleep raises cortisol, the stress hormone. And chronically elevated cortisol increases abdominal fat accumulation, increases insulin resistance, worsens anxiety, impairs memory, and fuels a silent state of systemic inflammation. In other words, each poorly slept night doesn't just affect your mood the following day. It is affecting your weight, your cardiovascular health, and your entire hormonal balance. Night after night, without you noticing the damage that's piling up. The warning is clear: accepting poor sleep as normal is a mistake that is costing you far more than you realize. Underscore 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 underscore. Habit number 3 that is destroying your body composition. Only doing cardio and ignoring strength training. This mistake is present in the lives of the vast majority of women over 50. And it is made with the best of intentions. Walking is great. Dancing is great. Cycling is great. Aerobic activities have real benefits for the heart, mood, and circulation. But if those are the only exercises you do, you are missing something absolutely essential in postmenopause. With the drop in estrogen, the loss of muscle mass accelerates significantly. This process has a name: sarcopenia. And it happens silently, gradually, with no pain whatsoever. You may be losing muscle right now, at this very moment, without noticing any clear sign. And muscle loss slows the metabolism, increases the risk of falls, worsens bone density, increases insulin resistance, leaves the body with a composition that no longer responds to conventional diets or light exercise. Strength training, weight training, resistance-based functional training, reformer Pilates, is the only stimulus that effectively slows this process. It's what maintains muscle, accelerates metabolism, and transforms body composition even in postmenopause. Researcher Stacy Sims, a specialist in female physiology and exercise, has made this very clear in her studies. Women in postmenopause need strength training more than any other population group. It is a priority, not optional. The warning is urgent: if you are not doing strength training at least twice a week, your body is losing muscle right now, without you realizing it. Underscore 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 underscore. Habit number 4 that is destroying your insulin sensitivity. Continuing to eat refined carbohydrates as if nothing has changed. White bread, white rice, cookies, conventional pasta, sugar in coffee, in juice, in processed food. These foods have always been part of most women's lives. And for many years, the body managed to metabolize them without major visible issues. In postmenopause, that scenario changes radically. And most women don't know this. With the drop in estrogen, insulin sensitivity decreases significantly. This means the pancreas has to produce more insulin to process the same amount of carbohydrate it used to handle before. And chronically elevated insulin is one of the greatest drivers of abdominal fat accumulation, systemic inflammation, and progressive metabolic resistance. This is exactly why so many women describe the same baffling experience: I eat the same things I've always eaten my whole life. And I gained weight. It's not imagination. It's not weakness. It's physiology. The body simply does not process those foods the same way it did before menopause. Replacing refined carbohydrates with whole food sources, rich in fiber, with slower digestion, makes a real and measurable difference in weight, blood sugar, and daily energy levels. The warning is direct: what your body tolerated before, it no longer tolerates the same way. And continuing to ignore that is a mistake that is happening every single day. underscore 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 underscore. Habit number 5 that is destroying your hormonal balance. Living in chronic stress with no strategy to manage it. This may be the most overlooked and most devastating habit on this entire list. Chronic stress, the kind that is constantly and cumulatively present in daily life, raises cortisol persistently. And in postmenopause, where estrogen no longer plays its protective and regulatory role, cortisol acts with much greater force and much less resistance. Chronically elevated cortisol increases visceral abdominal fat. It impairs sleep. It worsens memory and concentration. It increases anxiety and the risk of depression. It interferes with the absorption of essential nutrients. And it keeps the body in a state of low-grade inflammation that favors virtually every known chronic disease. And the worst part, this stress doesn't need to be dramatic to cause damage. It's the silent, everyday, accumulated stress. Worries about the family. Pressure at work. The feeling of not being well in your own body. The frustration of trying to lose weight and failing. The guilt of not sleeping well. Most women live with this level of stress as if it were normal. As if it were an inevitable part of adult life that simply has to be endured. It is not normal. And it doesn't have to be endured without a strategy. The warning is direct: without actively managing stress, no diet, no exercise, and no supplement will work the way it should. Underscore 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 underscore. Habit number 6 that is destroying your bones, your immunity, and your mood. Ignoring vitamin D deficiency. This is a silent mistake that affects the majority of women in postmenopause around the world. And it is one of the most underestimated. Vitamin D does not function simply as a common nutrient. It acts in the body like a hormone. And its deficiency in postmenopause has direct, serious, and progressive consequences. Vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption and bone health. This is especially critical now, when estrogen, which also protected bones, is no longer present at adequate levels. Vitamin D deficiency in postmenopause significantly increases the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. Additionally, vitamin D is linked to mood regulation, immune function, nervous system balance, and even insulin sensitivity. The problem is that most women don't know they're deficient. The symptoms are subtle and easily confused with other issues: constant fatigue, muscle and joint pain, hair loss, low immunity, unstable mood, difficulty concentrating. Things that are immediately attributed to stress or aging. But that may have a simple, identifiable, and treatable cause. A simple blood test reveals your vitamin D level. And proper supplementation, guided by a healthcare professional, can make a difference that many women describe as transformative. The warning is clear: if you have never had this test done, or haven't had it in over a year, you may be deficient right now, without knowing it. Underscore 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 underscore. Now that you understand what is causing the problem, you need to understand how your body is trying to warn you. Because the body speaks. It always has. The problem is that most people don't know how to interpret what it's saying. In postmenopause, these signals are especially subtle. Especially easy to attribute to other causes. And that is why so many women spend years suffering without understanding where what they're feeling is coming from. Here are the most important signals your body may be giving you right now. Your body may be giving you these signals, and you may be ignoring every single one of them. Underscore 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 underscore. Signal number 1. Abdominal fat that won't go away with diet or exercise. This is the most commonly reported sign among women in postmenopause. And also the most frustrating. Abdominal fat in postmenopause is not just an aesthetic issue. It is a direct metabolic signal. When estrogen drops, the body redistributes fat storage, prioritizing the visceral region, the fat that surrounds the internal organs. This visceral fat is metabolically active in a harmful way. It releases inflammatory substances, worsens insulin resistance, and increases cardiovascular risk. If you're doing everything right and the belly simply won't change, that is not personal failure. It is a clear signal that your body needs a specific approach for this phase. Underscore 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 underscore. Signal number 2. Fatigue that doesn't go away even after sleeping. You slept. You woke up exhausted. You had coffee. Still exhausted. By mid-afternoon you can barely function. This kind of fatigue is not laziness. It is not lack of motivation. It is a signal that something is wrong at the hormonal and metabolic level. In postmenopause, this fatigue can have multiple simultaneous causes: poor quality sleep, vitamin D deficiency, iron deficiency, insulin resistance, or simply the metabolism operating inefficiently due to the absence of regulating estrogen. If you regularly wake up tired, your body is asking for attention. This signal should not be ignored. Underscore 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 underscore. Signal number 3. Hot flashes that continue even after menopause. Many women believe hot flashes are exclusive to menopause. That once it's over, those flashes disappear. For many women, that simply is not true. Studies show that hot flashes can persist for 10, 12, even 15 years after the end of menopause in some women. And the intensity and frequency vary enormously from person to person. If you are still experiencing hot flashes in postmenopause, your body is signaling a thermoregulatory instability directly linked to the permanent low estrogen state. Underscore 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 underscore. Signal number 4. Anxiety and mood swings without any apparent cause. Sudden irritability. A feeling of dread with no clear reason. Crying easily. Difficulty handling situations that used to be simple. These are signs that many women in postmenopause experience, and that are frequently treated only as emotional or psychological issues, without taking the hormonal basis into account. Estrogen has a direct effect on the brain, influencing the production of serotonin and dopamine, the neurotransmitters of well-being and emotional balance. With estrogen permanently low, this regulation becomes compromised. Anxiety and emotional instability in postmenopause are frequently physical, hormonal signals, not just psychological ones. underscore 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 underscore. Signal number 5. Joint pain that seems to have appeared out of nowhere. Knee pain. Hip discomfort. Fingers that feel stiff in the morning. A back that protests. Many women in postmenopause develop joint pain that didn't exist before, and frequently attribute it entirely to normal aging. But estrogen has an anti-inflammatory function in the joints. With its permanent drop, joint inflammation can increase. And that is a signal the body is giving about the impact of the new hormonal balance on connective tissues. Underscore 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 underscore. Signal number 6. Difficulty concentrating and memory that progressively worsens. Walking into a room and forgetting why you went. Losing the thread of a conversation halfway through. Difficulty retaining new information. A constant sense of mental fog. The so-called brain fog of postmenopause is real, documented, and far more common than most people admit. Estrogen has a protective role in the brain, facilitating communication between neurons and supporting short-term memory. With the permanent drop, many women experience this cognitive shift progressively. If you are noticing that your memory and concentration are not what they used to be, your body is giving you an important signal. Underscore 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 underscore. Now that you know the symptoms, you need to understand why they happen. And why, unlike what most people think, they don't simply disappear. Dr. Mary Claire Haver, gynecologist and one of the world's leading references in women's health during menopause and postmenopause, has consistently emphasized one fundamental point in her research and publications: the real problem is not menopause itself. The real problem is the lack of guidance about what comes after it. Postmenopause is a phase of permanently low estrogen. And that means the body begins to operate under a completely different logic in at least 6 essential areas. In metabolism, the slowdown is real and permanent. The body burns fewer calories at rest. It accumulates fat more easily, especially in the abdominal region. And it responds differently to conventional diets and exercise. In sleep, the architecture of sleep changes. Deep, restorative sleep becomes harder to reach. Nighttime waking becomes more frequent. And the overall quality of rest deteriorates, with a direct impact on metabolic and emotional health. In mood and cognition, with less estrogen regulating the production of serotonin and dopamine, emotional balance becomes more vulnerable. Memory and concentration become more sensitive. And the window of emotional resilience narrows. In body composition, muscle is lost more rapidly. Fat is accumulated more easily. And the relationship between what you eat, what you train, and the visible result changes in a frustrating way. In bone health, without estrogen's protective role in the bones, bone density progressively decreases. The risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis increases significantly. In insulin sensitivity, the body processes carbohydrates differently. Insulin resistance increases. And the risk of developing type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome grows in postmenopause. All of this happens at the same time. And all of it has the same root cause, the permanently low estrogen that defines postmenopause. underscore 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 underscore. And now I need to tell you something important. When you understand that your body is in a new phase, operating under a new hormonal logic, it becomes clear that some things you used to do may simply no longer be enough. Nutrition needs to be adjusted. Exercise needs to change. Stress needs to be managed. Sleep needs to be made a priority. And many women discover that nutritional support specifically designed for this phase makes a real, measurable difference in their daily lives. If you're feeling that your body changed after menopause, that nothing that used to work brings results anymore, that the belly insists on staying, that your energy won't come back, that sleep is still a struggle. In the first link in the description of this video, you'll find a supplement that has been helping many women in exactly this phase. A supplement formulated to support the female metabolism in post-menopause, to help balance this new hormonal condition, and to help the body function better in this new reality. It's worth taking a look. Because you deserve access to the best information and the best support possible for this phase of your life. Now let's keep going. Because there's still more to talk about. Underscore 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 underscore. Postmenopause is not just a phase of discomfort. When it is not properly treated and cared for, it is associated with serious medical conditions that need to be understood. Osteoporosis, the loss of bone density in postmenopause, is real and progressive. Fragility fractures are one of the leading causes of hospitalization in women over 60. And the majority of those fractures could be prevented with care started earlier. Cardiovascular disease, estrogen had a protective effect on the heart and blood vessels. With its permanent drop, the risk of hypertension, high cholesterol, and cardiovascular disease increases significantly in postmenopause. Today, heart disease is the leading cause of death in women over 55. Metabolic syndrome, the combination of increased abdominal fat, insulin resistance, elevated blood pressure, and cholesterol changes forms the picture of metabolic syndrome, which is directly associated with the risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Depression in postmenopausal women is frequently underdiagnosed because its symptoms are confused with normal sadness or life stress. But it has a clear hormonal basis and requires specific medical attention. Dementia, recent studies have been investigating the relationship between the drop in estrogen during postmenopause and the increased risk of dementia, including Alzheimer's, in women. Cognitive health in postmenopause is an active and increasingly relevant field of research. This information is not meant to cause panic. It is meant to create awareness. Taking care of your health in postmenopause is not excessive. It is prevention. It is intelligence. It is respect for your own body. Underscore 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 underscore. Now comes the most important part. What you can actually do, in a practical way, starting today. First, see a gynecologist or endocrinologist who specializes in women's health in midlife and beyond. Not just any quick appointment. A visit where you ask for a complete evaluation, hormones, vitamin D, ferritin, fasting blood sugar, blood count, bone density if possible. With that data in hand, you have a real starting point. Second, prioritize protein at every meal. The general recommendation for women in postmenopause is at least 2 to 1. 6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. That means eggs, lean meats, fish, chicken, legumes, dairy. Protein preserves muscle. And muscle, as you now know, is essential in this phase. Third, add strength training to your routine. 2 to 3 times per week is enough to start. Weight training, resistance functional training, reformer Pilates. You don't need to be an athlete. You need to be consistent. Fourth, adjust your carbohydrates. You don't need to eliminate them. You need to choose better. Prioritize whole foods. Always combine carbohydrates with protein and healthy fat to reduce the glycemic impact. Reduce refined sugar and white flour. Fifth, make sleep a real priority. Set regular sleep and wake times. Reduce screen exposure in the 2 hours before bed. Keep your room cool. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. If sleep continues to be seriously disrupted, bring it to your doctor. There are effective treatment options available. Sixth, actively manage stress. Meditation, conscious breathing, yoga, therapy, walks in nature, reading, quality time with people you love. This is not a luxury. It is medicine. Seventh, check for and correct nutritional deficiencies. Vitamin D, vitamin B12, magnesium, iron, omega-3. Deficiencies in these areas are extremely common in postmenopause and have an enormous impact on well-being. Underscore 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 underscore. And speaking of nutritional support, many women find that even with all of these adjustments to diet and habits, the body still needs extra support to function well in this new phase. Because diet alone doesn't always provide everything the female body in postmenopause needs, in the right dose, at the right time. That's why in the first link in the description of this video, there is a supplement designed specifically for this phase of life. A supplement that helps with weight management in postmenopause, supports metabolic balance, and contributes to hormonal well-being in this phase in a natural way. Women who are in this phase and have added this support to their daily routine report a real difference in energy, weight control, and sleep quality. You deserve access to this. Click the first link in the description. It is absolutely worth looking into. Underscore 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 underscore. So let's answer the question that brought you here today. Do menopause symptoms disappear after it's over? The honest answer, the one you deserve to receive clearly, is, they do not disappear automatically. They transform. During menopause, the body is in transition. It is reacting to an intense hormonal shift. The symptoms are the expression of that reaction. When menopause ends, the transition is over. But the hormonal state that remained, the permanently low estrogen, continues to produce effects on metabolism, sleep, mood, body composition, bone health, and cardiovascular health. What changes is not the disappearance of symptoms. What changes is the need to completely adapt the way you care for your body to this new reality. With the right information, you can do this. With adjustments to your nutrition, prioritizing protein and quality carbohydrates, you can do this. With regular strength training, you can do this. With active stress management and prioritizing sleep, you can do this. With nutritional support specific to this phase, you can do this. And with proper medical follow-up, one that takes your current hormonal condition into account, you can do this completely. Postmenopause is not the end of anything. It is the beginning of a phase that, with the right tools, can be lived with energy, balance, well-being, and real quality of life. Your body did not betray you. It simply changed. And you can learn to care for it in this new phase with the same competence and dedication you brought to every phase before it. underscore 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 underscore. We hope this video was truly helpful to you. If you made it to the end, it's because you care about your health. And that already puts you ahead. If this content resonated with you, leave a like right now. That simple gesture helps carry this information to more women who need it and haven't found it yet. Share this video with a friend, a sister, a colleague who is in this phase or who will go through it soon. Sharing quality information is real care. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now and turn on the bell. Every week there's new content on women's health, serious, science-based information, explained in a way that makes sense in real life. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Underscore 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 underscore. Don't forget, the supplement recommended to support metabolism and balance in postmenopause is in the first link in the description. Click there and take a look.